Head coach, head coach Bryan Hodgson joins us on the program. Coach, what's going on, man? How are you? Happy Thursday.
Appreciate it, Jay. Happy Thursday to you. Obviously, great day of Masters. We got the Masters going on. I heard your brief coverage there. I'm a JT guy. Justin Thomas, obviously being a Alabama guy, so I've been following him. So I'll be rooting for JT here this week.
Yeah, he's definitely one of my favorites too, man. Him and Jordan Spieth, watching them every year at the Valspar. We go out of our way to be able to go follow those guys because you got to follow the American golfers. And you're right, the Bama, the Roll Tide, everybody they let him know when he's here in the Tampa Bay area. Before we get started with the basketball stuff, how was the Lightning game last night, man? I mean, that's first experience at Amalie Arena to be able to be in the building. All pun intended. It was electric last night. What was it like for you and the fam?
It was amazing. Super appreciative of the hospitality they showed to us. Phenomenal hockey atmosphere, and obviously being a Western New Yorker, I grew up in the hockey area. I mean, you look at Buffalo and Detroit. Obviously, Toronto's right there across the border. That whole area, Pittsburgh. I grew up around hockey my entire life, and so normally in some of these southern cities, the atmosphere is not quite like that. Obviously, with the recent success of the Lightning, man, that place was rocking last night. Obviously, didn't come out in our favor, but super exciting game to be at, and can't wait to get back in the building. Hopefully, I'll have some the time and opportunity to make it to a playoff game.
Yeah, Coach, you and I, we have some things in common. Aside from having pretty nice beards, everybody keeps asking me, "You got to ask Coach about his beard, looking sharp." But also, I went to college. I went to SUNY Oswego, so I'm a SUNY guy myself.
Okay.
So knew all about that weather up there, man. A little different in Tampa.
Yeah, that's funny. I actually was I was at the Final Four last week at our coaches convention and met the current coach at SUNY Oswego. We talked a lot about the weather, but us SUNY grads got to stick together because nobody else, when you're traveling the country and people ask you where you went to school, and you tell them Fredonia State or Oswego, they have no idea what you're talking about. But obviously great education system. We both turned out okay.
You got that right, my friend. Yeah, I remember my uncle was like, "Yeah, I went there 35 years ago. We never had school canceled." And of course, when I went back in 03, school got canceled for 3 days. We had 15 feet. That lake effect snow is no joke. But I want to talk a little bit about your upbringing too, because I think that really sets you in a position to be a leader. And I asked you this, the day you got introduced, being a leader of young men and how important that is to you. And one of the stories that, I looked up and I saw, because my grandfathers were very influential in my life, both military guys. And the story that I researched and I saw your grandfather, John Hodgson, and what he did and how he was, a prisoner, and he was able to win the Purple Heart after getting out of there. I mean, just incredible, getting shot down by the Nazis and to be able to persevere. What kind of lessons did you learn, not just from that experience, but just being there, sitting under the learning tree from, the people that helped raise you, and how did that help you get to this point today?
Yeah, and man, I appreciate you doing that research. My grandfather was my hero. They don't make him like that anymore. He lied about his age to fight for his country in World War II. And one of the coolest things about his story is he had completed his time at war, and they had asked for volunteers to do 5 more missions. And he volunteered, and it was on that next mission that his plane was shot down. He spent 362 days in prison camp. At 21 years old, he weighed 87 pounds, just because obviously malnourishment in prison camp. And some of the stories he told me, but to the lessons piece, from him, he talked about humanity in general and treating people the right way. I think one of my favorite stories and lessons from him was he talked about his last memory before he lost consciousness when his plane was shot down and he was parachuting to the ground and his body was on fire. And he talked about the Japanese pilot saluted him and pulled the cockpit, aimed a weapon at his face and was going to end his life. Instead, he saluted him and flew away. And he talked a lot about, obviously, in war, that pilot thought he was fighting for the right thing, right? And so,
Right.
and we had our opinions, and so he talked a lot about just humanity in general and treating everyone you come across the right way, and making sure that we represent our last name in the right way. And so I think it's carried over a big port. It's really helped mold me as a coach. Talked a lot about having transformational relationships as opposed to transactional relationships. And super fortunate to be adopted into the Hodgson family and have him and my father and my brothers and sisters and my mother as role models. And I really think as much as they're, growing up, I'm not sure they knew the difference between basketball and football. They helped me more in this profession than they'll ever realize.
Yeah, no doubt. And just looking at your story and listening to your story, and when Coach Oates tabs you as that recruiter after your journey, after going through these different colleges, and Coach Oates goes, "Hey, I want you to be the guy that goes out there and goes into people's homes and talks to people." What is that responsibility like, knowing that you're taking all of your life experiences? Again, it's not so much of a what kind of an X's and O basketball thing. It's a who It's a relatability factor. Like, how do you get on a level? How do you go into this home with one family that's like this, and then a completely different family like that? What was that like to be able to get that nod from Coach Oates to be the guy that's the face of the program, whether it's Buffalo or Alabama, and to be like knowing like, hey, it's up to you, man. You're gonna have to use all the resources that you got growing up and now being a man to help your program get to that next level.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, it was an honor. No matter what where your allegiance is in college athletics, Nate Oates is one of the best in the business. Obviously, Final Four last year, Elite Eight this year, multiple Sweet 16s, and so he's really good at what he does. And so for him to give me that responsibility at such a young age was an honor. But I'll tell you what, my childhood, growing up in the foster care system, being adopted into a home that even after I was adopted, we continued. My family took in foster children for the next 10 years after I was adopted. So in that time, my parents took in over 114 foster children, if I'm not mistaken. So in my time in the house, we're talking 80 to 90 different kids came through, some for a day, some for a week, some for a year. And so I was able to be around pretty much every walk of life that you could imagine, right? And in different circumstances and upbringings and tragedy, really. I talked yesterday on the radio a little bit about, I talked to our guys and staff about using our life experiences. You can use them in one of two ways. You can either use them as a crutch or a ladder. And if you want to use it as a crutch, I can promise you the general public doesn't care, right? But if you use it as those experiences as a ladder to elevate yourself as a person, elevate yourself in your profession, and to elevate the people around you, then it's really beneficial. And it's the same in recruiting. Any household I'm going to walk in, good luck, finding something that I can't relate to.
Right.
I've been around a lot of it, and the good and the bad, and they've all have shaped me in a positive way. And I just truly, truly enjoy the recruiting piece of this business, building those relationships, especially here at like a place like South Florida. Like, I can't wait to get into somebody's home in front of mom and dad and a young man and talk about how special this place is. It's when you have true energetic passion behind what you're promoting, that's what makes it special. And it's one of the main reasons I wanted to be here and be the next head basketball coach.
Yeah, you can't fake that too, right? I mean, for people that you can't, it's either genuine or not. There's no gray area. Like, people
No, I
see
tell you what,
right through that type of stuff.
an 18 or 19-year-old kid can smell fake from a mile away. So those guys don't last very long in this business. There's quite a few out there, but they don't last very long.
You got that right, my friend. Coach, I love during your introductory press conference, you spoke about being on the plane and, looking at your significant other, your fiance, correct?
Yes,
Fiance.
correct.
And just knowing that USF kind of was like, this was the right place, right? Just take us through that story for those who didn't hear it. And then also your interactions with Michael Kelly and Lee Butler and everybody at South Florida. I've grown to just really, really appreciate and care about those guys over the year. And, no surprise to me that those guys are like easy to convince, not easy, but to help you, show and highlight the green and gold to be a part of South Florida.
No, easy was the word. They made it easy. Those guys are, we talk about my recruiting. Those dudes are some recruiters now.
Right.
But first and foremost, I got to get this. I got to clear the air on this out of the gate, right? Because every time a picture is posted of me on social media and my fiance Jordan is in the picture, I immediately get tagged and I'm told every time that I'm the president of the Outkick Your Coverage Club. I want to go ahead and let everybody out there know I'm well aware by this point. Okay. And so we talk about recruiting. That is the number one recruit. And it's
good
funny,
man, good man.
Yeah. So we'll get that out of the way now. We could save people the time and energy. You're not telling me anything I don't know. But as far as that plane, I looked at Jordan. We were flying back from our last game of the season. And as I'm sure you know, I had several opportunities and very intriguing opportunities. And I'm forever grateful to Jeff Parrington and Todd Shields at Arkansas State University for the opportunity they gave me. But the time was right for me to move if the situation was right. Mm-hmm. And there was several opportunities and I went through the interview process and kept getting the phone calls every day and the ultimatums. Hey, we need an answer by this time or this time. And she just kind of looked at me on that plane ride home and she, when you have that genuine relationship with somebody and they know you like the back of their hand, she looked at me and she said, what's wrong? And I said, nothing. And she said, no, I know what's going on. She's like, you really want the job at South Florida, don't you? And I said, yeah, I do. And she just knew, she could tell because of the excitement in my voice when I talked about South Florida versus some of the other places, it just wasn't the same. And that's a credit to obviously Michael Kelly and Lee Butler and Jay Stroman and the list goes on. Will Weatherford, Mike Griffin, everybody I spoke to during this entire process, the enthusiasm and passion that they had for this place was unmatched. And when I tell you, I spoke to some places that have strong, strong basketball traditions, the enthusiasm and passion from the leadership here at South Florida, it wasn't even in the same conversation. And the way they spoke about this place, their vision for this place, it was just contagious. And every time I spoke to them, I left that conversation more and more excited. And I'll tell you what, everything that they talked to me about, everything that they showed me about this place during the process has lived up to its expectations and beyond. I told someone last night, every day I come to my office, there's something more that I find out about this place that just excites me to another level. And that's what makes this place special.
Yeah, it's a great point. I've learned this over the years, interviewing people, guys like Tony Dungy and Derek Brooks over the years. When they walk out of the room or you walk out of the room, there's a certain feeling. It's an intangible thing that you have. And you're like, that was good. Or like, you know what I mean? Like you feel the vibes. You can't fake the funk. I got to ask you about the late, great Amir-Abdur Rahim. Made such a profound impact on our community. Tampa Bay's home for hoops. I love during your introductory press conference because, listen, you're coming into a position here where the guy was beloved. He made a profound impact. But I love how you found that balance. You found that balance of honoring Coach Amir, but also, putting your flag in the ground like, hey, this is my journey. This is my step. And I thought you did that with such class and respect and honor. How do you continue to do that going forward, Coach? Because he did make an impact, but you want to be able to establish kind of your own identity here. How do you find that balance?
Yeah, I'll say this. It's difficult and easy at the same time. And what I mean by that is easy in a sense that Amir was as genuine as a person, as a human being that I've ever crossed paths with. And I was fortunate enough to have a relationship with him. And so when I come to work every day and I walk through these doors, I want to operate in a way that would make him proud. And I think from my interaction with him and our relationship, I know what those standards are. And I talked about it in the press conference. We're going to keep his core values intact here. And that's something that was genuine to me. I was laying in bed down the street at the Embassy Suites Hotel a couple of days into the job, and I was thinking about him and thinking about this place and what a special time that he had here and the mark that he left on people here. And I'm going through, preparing for my press conference, and it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I just thought about it, like, why I don't need to come in and reinvent the wheel here from a standard standpoint, because he set the standard here for USF men's basketball and laid the groundwork on a very, very successful program. And the core values that he had, specifically in relation to truth. Right. He talked about truth. You saw it, it's posted all over the building. He talked about it a bunch, and trust, responsibility, unity, toughness, the entire humility, right? The entire definition of the acronym truth for him. He lived that every single day. And I was telling my staff the other day, if we come in here with that mindset, we're going to be successful. And that's why he was successful. And the reason why I said easy and hard, easy because it's the right way to do things, and difficult because he was a very special human being. And so, we're going to do our best to live up to the same standards that he ingrained here in this program, and honor him in the right way.
No doubt about it, man. I know, switching over to the basketball side, it's all about, this is a new world of college basketball, right? It's ever changing, right? Transfer portal, NIL, but style of play too. I know that's a big thing to you, being aggressive offensively, being aggressive defensively, and then getting CJ coming back, right? That, we knew that there was going to be a lot of transition when it comes to the players, and for him to be able to come back here, take us through that conversation, and just like the overall, like, what can people expect the first time they see this team tip off there at the Yuengling Center?
Yeah, so starting with CJ, when I took the job, we're big into the numbers. You'll learn we're very analytical in our approach to everything we do, from recruiting to practice to games. And so the recruiting piece, I want to make sure in an era where it's a revolving door, I want to make sure that if I'm going to keep a young man here or ask him to stay here, that he fits what we want to do. Right. And so we myself and my staff, we took a deep dive into this program and the roster that was here last year. And while also considering the tragedy that they faced, right? Because this is not normal circumstances, right? And for anybody. And so we went through the roster and identified guys that we felt fit the way that we want to play the best. And CJ's at the top of that list. An elite athlete, downhill attacking combo guard who's phenomenal in transition, and that's where we want to play. And there was several other guys in that category, but I'll just be candid with you. He was number one on that list, and so we got our number one recruit my first couple of days on the job, and I'm really proud of that. And man, what a special young man. He didn't take another visit. He didn't entertain anywhere else, and I'll tell you what, that says a lot about this program, this university, and this community. In an era where kids are taking visits left and right, even just to announce that they're going to go back to the school that they were at, he didn't do it. He said, I want to be here. When we met, he said, I love this place. I love the people here. I love the leadership. And I'm all about USF basketball. And that's all I needed to hear. And so fortunate to have him. He's going to be a very special program or player in this program. And as far as style of play, it goes hand in hand with what we just talked about with CJ. We're going to get up and down. Every team I've coached has been top 50 in the country in offensive tempo. That's not going to change. We recruit to that. We don't change the way we play. And so you'll see in our recruiting style, whether it's high school or portal, I'll be very candid right out of the gate. There may be a kid 2 miles down the road, and he could be the top 10 player in the country. If he doesn't fit the way that we're going to play, it makes no sense for us or that young man. We're always going to look here first, right? We're going to make sure we cover our backyard. We're going to recruit Tampa. We're going to recruit Florida. But if they don't fit the way we want to play, we're not going to do ourselves or that young man a disservice. And then we'll cast the national and international net from there. But we're going to get up and down. We're going to shoot a lot of threes. We're going to attack the rim. The plan is to be big, long, and athletic. And I said it last year. I'm going to say it again this year. we want to get old and stay old. If you look at the teams that just played in the Final Four, look at the average age on those teams, they're old. And the teams that were playing in the Elite Eight, old. Sweet 16, old. It's just that's the reality, right? You look at the NFL, the guys that are the most productive are the vets. You look at the NBA, the guys that are most productive, the vets, right? Been there, done that, and had some growth each year. With that being said, we're also going to include some balance in our roster with some freshmen, and make, freshmen that fit what we want to do and we really feel have a chance to grow and have an impact in our program. So I think you'll see a good balance on the roster, but everybody we bring in is going to fit into that up-tempo style of play.
All right, Coach, last one for me before I let you go. Tell the Bulls Nation fan base something that maybe they haven't heard yet from Coach Bryan Hodgson. What does he like to have on his pizza or a burger? What's your TV show that you're binging right now? Give me something that you haven't answered yet in the press conference yet.
Yeah, that's great. So I'm a big I'm a big food guy. I mean, I am 6'5", 275 pounds, so that didn't come by being picky. But I'll say, I've already ate at some great restaurants here in town. Obviously, I'm a Western New Yorker, so I'm a big pizza and wings guy, right? So looking forward to finding out where the best local pizza and wing spots are here in Tampa, and outside of that, man, I'll tell you what, as far as TV, I don't get to watch a ton of TV. I mean, I watch basketball.
You're watching tape.
Yeah, and I'm watching film. I love it. I know I'm going to start getting those golf invites here soon. And so I'll just make sure everybody's on the same page. I am an awful golfer. I'll get out there and I'll participate. I own a set of clubs, but I'm at my best driving the golf cart, having a good time, chopping it up with people on the golf course. But man, I'm just to wrap this thing up with you, man. I'm so thankful for your time and taking the time to have this conversation with me. But I hope that here shortly, as I get to know more and more people and get out in this community and on this campus, that people can see and feel the energy and enthusiasm that myself and the staff and our players are going to have. This is a extremely special place. You talked about some of the people you've had on your podcast that still live here in Tampa and have made it. They can live anywhere in the world and they've chosen to stay here, right? That says a lot. And so this place is special. This community is special. We wake up every day after the 3 or 4 hours of sleep we're getting right now, fired up to get back at it again, and can't wait for everybody to see that and get out and get to meet some more people here as time goes on.
And coaches, you see behind me, man, there's nobody that bleeds Tampa Bay and green and gold like myself. So you'll see me at plenty of games this year, covering, cheering, and I echo the sentiments of one of the great names and voices in college basketball, Jay Billis, home run hire, man. To see so many people agree with those sentiments here, to have you as the new head coach of the USF men's basketball team. We are very lucky to have you and can't wait to see what the future holds with you and the green and gold. Coach Bryan Hodgson, thank you so much for your time, man. Get back to watching film and watching tape and on the recruiting trail, man.
Well, wait, first, I got it. Go ahead. What is your hometown?
So I'm originally from Central Islip on Long Island, right in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah, so okay. I joke about this. I went to Oswego because I broadcast journalism. So I played high school baseball, high school hockey. I could have played D2, both of those sports, but I wanted to be on ESPN. So I went to Oswego, but unfortunately, I majored in, things that maybe weren't necessarily a class. I was out there partying and having fun. I could have went to school for 8 years, and then I moved down here, and I actually started coaching baseball. So my dad was a baseball coach. My grandfather was a baseball coach. So I did that for 8 years, and then I got into radio when I was 28. And I think being a coach kind of helped me transition to radio and media because, I was working with the youth, working with people, and then all of a sudden, kind of the rest is history, man. So our Western New York and coaching backgrounds, man, we got a lot in common.
Absolutely, man. Well, look forward to getting together in person here soon and talking about it.
You're the man. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it. Have a great rest of your week, man. Thank you.
You as well. Thanks, man.
All right, buddy.